Welcome back. This is the Domain 1, Task 2, Observed Activity. Let's get started. Task Overview. To identify key deliverables, you will have to manage customers' expectations and understand the project purpose and outcome. Achieving project goals will also require proactivity. By understanding the business requirements and producing the deliverables based on those requirements, you can increase your chances that the end product or service will meet the customer's needs. In this observe activity, we will introduce the context of the task, the key concepts, essential technical knowledge, and discuss important issues. On the next 5 screens, you will find visuals and descriptive elements that inform the context of the Domain 1. Cloud Tag, Overview, and Task Line. Skip these screens if you have already taken another course in this domain and already got your refresher. You will resume your study when you reach the Key Concepts screen. Let's take a fresh look at this task. Where does it fit in? According to the RDS 2015 published by PMI, there are 8 tasks associated with the Domain 1. What main outcomes a project manager could expect to achieve as he or she completes these 8 project activities? Domain 1 Overview. Initiating a project involves the steps required to develop the project charter properly. Part of the work of the project manager is to define the high-level scope and risks, identify relevant stakeholders, and review the business case in order to obtain a common understanding and agreement on the project's outcomes. The last effort is to gain approval and distribute the project charter. We have created short headlines for each one of the 8 tasks introduced in the RDS 2015. Next screen will show you how their progress fits into the project plan. See below our task line presenting the 8 tasks of the first domain as delineated in the new 2015 RDS. The second task is marked in bold. Take note of the preceding and following tasks. The final tasks of the first domain are presented below. Take note of these important tasks. Among the projects you have completed so far, do you recall performing all or part of these initiating tasks? In this presentation, we will focus our interest toward the task number 2. How familiar are you with this task? Take a minute to read the full description of this RDS task as summarized in the PMP Exam Outline 2015, page 5. Let's identify key concepts specific to the second task. Identifying key deliverables. Managing customer expectations. Achieving project goals. Let's clarify our understanding of these concepts in the context of the project manager day-to-day job. How do you understand these concepts? Take a moment to write down notes in your own words. Always check the latest PMBOK guide when you are in doubt. When you are ready, move on to the next screen where we present note cards with our digest of these important key terms. You will compare with your current understanding and identify gaps. This quick mental exercise will facilitate your knowledge acquisition. Identifying key deliverables. To be able to identify the key deliverables associated with a project, one must first start by understanding the business needs. These business requirements will be described in the project charter. Knowing what the project deliverables are is vital since they directly correlate with the product or service that the project was initiated to produce. Once a link has been established between the project deliverables and the final project outcome, the project manager will have a firmer grasp of the project. Managing customer expectations. The ability to manage customer expectations is paramount in any project. Failure to do so will likely result in a project outcome that does not meet the customer's needs. Thus, the project manager needs to have a plan for stakeholder management. This plan should include how to stay in regular contact and to build lasting rapport with the customer, such that his or her project expectations will be met. Achieving project goals. Achieving project goals requires a clear understanding of the business needs and customers' expectations. The project manager must be intimately familiar with the project's outcomes and should verify and ensure the alignment with requirements, constraints, and assumptions. The project charter will typically define the project key deliverables, who the project manager is for the project, as well as his or her right to use the organization's resources. It also represents approval from the organization's higher-ups that the project can move forward. PM technical knowledge. In addition to the concepts presented earlier, it is also important to keep in mind essential knowledge and definitions. This task requires technical knowledge of the project's high-level scope. Step 1. Write your own summary. Write down your own definition and key points to describe the essential project management knowledge associated with this topic. Step 2. Review our one-page summary. Browse our collection of knowledge sheets and review quickly the project management essential knowledge we have summarized. Step 3. Self-assess your review. How did you do? Comparing your summary with the one shared by peers should help you reinforce your foundational knowledge. Pause and go to next screen when you are finished. Well done! We have set a solid foundation to tackle implementation. Now, it is up to you to make it work. What are the useful project management processes, techniques, and tools that will enable you to engage stakeholders and achieve this task's goals? Ensure understanding of the project manager's duties for this task, one step at a time. See next a list of 5 pieces to take into consideration when you manage key deliverables and keep your client needs and wants in mind. What are the main challenges a project manager needs to overcome to complete this task? See below our tasks review card. 1. Customer expectations management. 2. Communications management. 3. Scope creep. 4. Scope management. And 5. Change control management. What are your thoughts? Does this list make sense? On the next screen, we selected a leader's words of wisdom to bring perspective and inspire you as you tackle this task. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. Building on those words of wisdom, by making it a habit to be clear on a project's business requirements, and the deliverables that will be derived from those requirements, there will be a greater likelihood of a successful project and satisfied customer. Let's take a look at issues that you may encounter and how to address them using trusted project management standards. Why is managing customer expectations important? At times, expectations you have or your understanding of the expectations for the project may differ from that of the customer. For example, a customer might continue to expect a particular project feature despite being told once it is technically unfeasible. Thus, regular communication with the project customer will minimize misunderstandings about project expectations. What happens when there is a lack of communication? When communication with the project customer is infrequent, the customer often assumes that the project is on track and that his or her expectations will be met. This happens because the customer believes the expectations he or she has laid out at the onset is being met if the project team does not come back with questions or provide status updates. Again, checking in periodically on expectations is beneficial to both the project manager and the customer. Should scope creep invariably be perceived in a negative light? There is a tendency for many project managers to resist changes in scope. The perception is that the scope has been agreed upon and modifications typically mean adjustments to the project plan and schedule. However, not all scope changes are adverse, and one should at least entertain a change to determine how it will impact the customer's expectation. How should project scope be managed? Communication is once again key. The project manager should clearly explain to the customer, in terms of time and money, how modifications to the agreed-upon project may affect the project. It should also be indicated that if changes are needed, what is the process that the customer will need to undergo to request any modifications? If a change is needed to project scope, what next? The customer will have to formally request the change, but most importantly, the modification needs to be documented. The documentation should address elements such as the purpose of the change, projected impact on project cost and schedule, and was the authorizing requester. Getting in the habit of documenting approved project changes protects you and the project team. Let's take a pause to reflect as we are getting ready to wrap up this first presentation. Did you observe any discrepancy between your current practice and the review items presented in the previous screens? Why not pick one or two of these new best practices exposed in this presentation and make it your goal to implement them? That's it for now. We have collected important observations about key concepts, processes, techniques, and tools associated with this task. Make a mental note or write down the main points you want to retain. Take a couple of minutes before you jump up to the time for action. To earn points for this activity, you will complete a truths and myths quick quiz. In the next Explore activity, you will take a best practice survey and explore critical factors that can break or make this project's task. Keep in mind the information provided in this presentation